Good evening, students. Is my voice audible to you? Good evening. Is my voice audible to you? I hope the screen is visible to you, all of you. Okay. Today we are going to discuss the technique which is digital communication technique. Under this, we are discussing the pulse code modulation. Right. What we are discussing? We are going to discuss pulse code modulation technique. We are going to discussing the technique which is pulse code modulation. First of all, what is in by pulse code modulation? First, we'll define how do you define pulse code modulation. Before that, first we need to know what do you mean by pulse modulation. In yesterday's class, I have seen different types of modulation techniques. Under this, we also studied the pulse modulation. So, what is the pulse modulation? In the pulse modulation, the message signal is a normal sinusoidal signal, whereas a carrier signal is a rectangular pulses. Where in order to produce a modulated signal, we are varying different parameters like amplitude, frequency, or phase of the signal with respect to the amplitude of the message signal. Right. So, what is meant by pulse modulation? Pulse modulation, which is used to transmit analog information signals such as a speech signal or any data signal. Here in pulse modulation system, we said right, the carrier signal is a train of pulses. So in pulse modulation system, the parameters of the carrier pulse, that is whether it is amplitude, or pulse width, or pulse time, or pulse position, which is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of modulating signal. Let's suppose assume the pulse amplitude is varied in accordance with the message signal. We can call that as pulse amplitude modulation. Okay, so we take the input as pulse amplitude modulated signals which are quantized and then coded into a binary form. We can call the technique as pulse code modulation system. What is that? We are taking the input signal as a normal sinusoidal signal and we are taking the carrier signal as a pulse train signal. Then we are getting the pulse amplitude modulated signal as the input. We are quantizing that signal and convert it into the binary form. So we can able to obtain the pulse code modulation system. That is the definition, right? PM signals are quantized and then coded, thus gives rise to a technique which is called as pulse code modulation. Okay, and let's see what are the main components present in it. Pulse code modulation is nothing but it is a special form of analog to digital conversion. Mainly it consists of components like sampling, quantizing, and encoding steps. What are the applications of pulse code modulation? It is used for long time in a telephone systems and we can able to correct the errors during long haul transmissions and it can able to perform time division multiplexing. What is in by multiplexing? Simultaneous transmission of messages from different channels are combined at the transmitter and we are going to expand at the receiver through the other channels which we call as time division multiplexing. And why we are using this pulse code modulation? Because it is very inexpensive when compared to the other techniques. That's why we are using this pulse code modulation. See, what is the block diagram? It is having pulse code modulation transmitter and pulse code modulation receiver. What is that? Pulse code modulation transmitter and pulse code modulation receiver. See, what are the main components? A source of continuous time signal, a low pass filter, sampler, quantizer, encoder. We can call this as transmitter part. Okay. Now see, we discuss each and every one in detail. See here, it said right, the pulse code transmitter or PCM generator both convey the same information. So first we'll take the input signal which is applied to the low pass filter. This filter having cutoff frequency W, which is applied to the sample and hold circuit. Then the continuous signal is converted to the sampled signal. That the sampled signal we can call as X of NTS. Okay, and they need to maintain the sampling frequency such that it should be greater than the twice the highest frequency of the message signal. Then we are going to apply to the quantizer, that is sampled signal is applied to the quantizer, means it should be converted into the fixed amplitude levels. Let's say I am sending one continuous signal, it is having samples 1.8, 3.2 and 4.9. So 1.8 is round off to 2 and 3.2 is round off to 3, 4.8 means 5. So I am getting values 2, 3, 5. Right, these are the sampled values. After rounding off to the nearest integer value, I am getting 2, 3 and 5. So the channel, it will not understand the directly amplitude levels. So because we are dealing with the digital communication, to understand only the digital data like binary ones and zeros. That's why we need to apply these sample values like 2, 4, 5 have taken to the encoder. The encoder accepts the fixed level amplitude and convert that fixed level amplitude samples into the binary data which is of the specific length. Suppose I am transmitting sample 2 means the binary digit value is 0, 1, 0. I am transmitting symbol 4 means 1, 0, 0. I am transmitting 5 means 1, 0, 1. Like that, it will convert the fixed amplitude levels into the binary data with the help of binary encoder. Then we are applying that data like 100, 101, 010 to the parallel to serial converter. So what is the parallel to serial converter does? It will take the parallel data from multiple paths and get a single line. Okay, so whenever 1 is present, there should be a pulse. When 0 means the absence of the pulse. In that way, we can able to generate the PCM output. Okay, let's see whatever I said, just I am reading those points. The pulse code modulator samples the input signal by taking the Nyquist rate such that Fs is greater than or equals to W. Then which is digitized by the analog to digital converter. Then the parallel bits are obtained which are converted to the serial bit stream. This is the basic principle. Okay. So what is the first component you have taken? Low pass filter, right? So the low pass filter having the cutoff frequency W, it allows all those frequencies and attenuate the remaining frequencies. Then we are applying to this to the sample and hold circuit. What is the sample and hold circuit does? It will sample the continuous signal at a rate of sampling frequency Fs. Then the output of sample and hold circuit is nothing but X of NTS. That is, we are getting a signal which is discrete in time, but it is continuous in amplitude. Then what happened? Which is applied to the quantizer. What is quantizer does? Simply, it performs a rounding off to the nearest integer values. That is, a quantizer compares its input, that is X of NTS, with its fixed digital levels. Then it assigns any one of the digital levels to the X of NTS with its fixed levels. Okay, so that which results in the minimum distortion. So the output of quantizer is a fixed level amplitude, that is fixed continuous discrete in time, discrete in amplitude levels, which is XQ of NTS. Okay, then the quantized signal which we are applying to the binary encoder. What is the binary encoder does? This encoder converts the given input signal into V binary digits. That means we are converting the quantized levels, that is fixed amplitude levels, into the V binary digits. Okay, then finally we are applying to the parallel to serial converter. Why it is necessary? It is not possible to transmit each data separately on the transmission line. So we are using parallel to serial converter. So here V binary digits are converted to the serial bit stream to generate the single message signal. So the output of the pulse code modulation is a single baseband signal consists of binary data. And what is the use of oscillator and timer? Just it will able to generate the clock for each sample we can receive from the input. Okay. Then see the another important concept. What is that? The transmission bandwidth in PCM. What is that? The transmission bandwidth in PCM signals. So we need to get the expression for transmission bandwidth of PCM. For that, we have to define two parameters. What is this? The relation between the V number of digits and the quantizer levels. See here, let the quantizer uses V number of binary digits to represent each level. Then the total number of quantization levels that can be represented by V digits will be Q equal to 2 power V. Okay, remember this equation, it will be helpful while solving the problems. And suppose if V equal to 3 bits, assume. So how many number of quantization levels? Q equals 2 power V, which is Q equal to 2 cube. Simply, it should be having 8 levels. So that means we are taking a fixed level amplitude. Each sample is converted to the V binary bits. That is, number of bits per sample is V. And what is the sampling rate? Fs, right? So number of samples per second equal to Fs. So the total number of bits per second is number of bits per sample into number of samples per second. How many bits we are transmitting per sample? V bits, right? So V. How many number of samples we are transmitting per second? Fs. So V into Fs. So what is that? Number of bits per second is nothing but the signaling rate. What is the signaling rate? It is the product of number of bits as well as number of samples we are transmitting in a second, which is called as signaling rate. So signaling rate in PCM is given by small r equal V into Fs, where Fs is nothing but the sampling frequency. It should be twice the highest frequency component, either 2 omega or 2 Fm. Then we'll obtain the relation now. That's why we have defined all these parameters. Okay, the bandwidth needed for PCM transmission, which is nothing but half of the signaling rate, which is nothing but half of the signaling rate. So what is that? The transmission bandwidth of PCM is given by BT, that is BT greater than or equals 1 by 2 into R. BT greater than or equals 1 by 2 into R. That is BT greater than or equals, what is R value? Nothing but V into Fs, right? So V into Fs. So BT greater than or equals V into W. Why? Because if you substitute here 2W, 2 get cancelled, then we are getting V into W. Okay, this is about PCM transmitter. What is that? Pulse code modulation transmitter part. Now we see pulse code modulation receiver. See what is the main components present in the pulse code modulation receiver? See, the one is regenerator. The first component is regenerator, then serial to parallel converter, then digital to analog converter, sample and hold circuit, then a low pass filter. So what happened? We are giving the input as the PCM signal. What is that PCM signal? It is nothing but the digital data, ones and zeros. Because we are transmitting to the channel, it is affected by some noise. So this PCM signal along with noise, we are applying to the regenerator. So in the regenerator, it consists of amplitude equalizer and signal shaping circuit. What is the use of amplitude equalizer? If it is affected by any noise, there should be change in the amplitude, right? It will remove that noise and get the original PCM signal back. That is the use of regenerator. So which is applied to the serial to parallel converter. Why? Because here we are getting the data 1 0 0 and 0 1 0, right? So that serial data we are giving to the parallel converter. So let's assume I am giving the data as 1 0 0, then 0 1 0 1 0 1. So that is here 0 1 0 1 0 1 and 1 0 1. The serial data stream converted to the parallel data. So now here we are receiving the digital data from each transmission path, right? So it is converted to the analog signal. Suppose, see here in this path I am receiving 0 1 0. So what is the equivalent for digital 0 1 0 analog signal? That is 2, right? So it represents with the amplitude 2. And suppose I am receiving 1 0 0, it's representing with amplitude 4. Suppose I am receiving 1 0 1, it represents with 5. So in this way we are converting digital signal to the analog signal, so which is applied to the sample and hold circuit. So it is converting into equal samples. Then which is applied to the low pass filter means it allow all the samples which possess the frequency as W, that is omega. So how do you reconstruct the waveform? Like this. So what is the signal? X of t, nothing but a recovered message signal from the pulse code modulated signal. This staircase waveform represents the quantized signal, and this dotted line represents the sampled signal. See here, whatever the discuss, just I am reading a few points. The regenerator at the start of PCM receiver simply reshape the pulses and it will remove the noise. Then after that, the signal is converted to parallel digital words for each sample. Okay. Then the digital word is, that is the digital data is converted to its analog value xq of t with the help of sample and hold circuit. Then the output of sample and hold circuit is passed through the low pass filter to get the message signal. Okay. So but it is practically not possible to reconstruct the exact original signal back because of some quantization error. That quantization error can be reduced by increasing the binary levels. This is nothing but increasing the binary bits, so will increases the signaling rate as well as the transmission bandwidth as well as the transmission bandwidth. So this is about pulse code modulation as well as pulse code reception, pulse code modulation and pulse code receiver. Okay, now we'll see just what is the block diagram. I said, right, in the regenerator there should be components, multiple parts. So we'll see that block diagram of regenerative repeater now. What is that block diagram of regenerative repeater? Just see. And before that, we'll see this, the signal to noise ratio for a PCM signal. So what is the formula? Signal to quantization noise ratio for PCM signal. For that, we need to do a derivation. So first, it requires 5 steps. What is step 1? Quantization error. What we are discussing now, we are discussing signal to noise ratio of a PCM system. For that, first you have to remember 5 steps. What is the step 1? We have to define quantization error. What is that quantization error? Epsilon equals xq of NTS minus x of NTS. What is x of NTS? The sampled signal. That is discrete in time, continuous in amplitude. What is xq of NTS? Quantized signal. That is discrete in time and discrete in amplitude. Then we have to define the step size. What is that? Like the continuous signal will be varies in the amplitude range minus x max to plus x max. Then the total amplitude range is nothing but x max minus of minus x max, which is 2 into x max. So how do you define the step size? If the amplitude range is divided into q levels of quantizer, then we define step size as delta equal to 2 into x max by q. Okay. Suppose if the signal input or signal x of t is normalized to minimum as well as maximum values, which should be 1, then we define step size as delta equal to 2 by q. Okay. So till now we have defined quantization error, then step size. Now we need to define probability density function of quantization error. For that, let's assume if the step size is small and the quantization error is uniformly distributed random variable, then we define the quantization error as Emax equals modulus of delta by 2. Okay. So see here, the quantization error is uniformly distributed random variable. So first we have to draw the uniform distribution. So let's assume x is a random variable which is uniformly distributed over the interval a to b. Then how do you obtain probability distribution function of fx of x? Simply 1 by b minus a. So I am correlating this topic with respect to our quantization error E. In place of x, assume the quantization error is uniformly distributed over the interval minus delta by 2 plus delta. Then how do you obtain its probability distribution, which is 1 by b minus a, right? In place of b, here delta by 2, in place of a minus delta by 2. So 1 by delta by 2 minus of minus delta by 2. So we are getting 1 by delta. So what is that? From figure 1, this one. A random variable is said to be uniformly distributed over the interval a to b means how do you define probability distribution function? See from these equations. Fx of x equal to 0 when x is less than a, and which is 1 by b minus a when it is varying in the interval a to b, and it should be 0 for x value greater than b. So we define the density function for quantization error as f epsilon e equal to 0 for epsilon value less than delta by 2 and 1 by delta when it is varying between minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2. Okay. Then step 4, define the noise power. So how do you define signal to noise ratio? Do you know, right? Signal to noise ratio is a parameter which is used for checking the performance of a analog communication system or digital communication system. Higher the noise, so it will be more affected by noise. Higher the signal, it should be free from error transmission. Okay. So the signal to noise ratio is defined as the ratio of signal power to the noise power. Okay. If the input signal is known, then it is possible to find out the signal power. Let's say assume the noise power is given by, what is the formula? P equal to V square by R, right? Where V is nothing but voltage. So what is that voltage here? V square noise. So V square noise is mean square value of the noise voltage. So because we said, right, epsilon is a quantization error which is distributed random variable. So since noise is defined by random variable epsilon, then probability density function of this random variable is given by f epsilon of epsilon. So mean square value is nothing but epsilon square. So from the probability analysis, we are writing this as the mean square value of random variable x is given as x square equal to expectation of x square, which is the general formula, integral minus infinity x square into fx of x. So similarly, we'll rewrite as epsilon of expectation of epsilon square equal to integral minus infinity epsilon square into f epsilon of epsilon. So from equation 1, so what is that equation 1? This, right? From equation 1, we write because it is varying between minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2. So we write as epsilon of epsilon square equal to minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2 epsilon square into 1 by delta. Why? Because epsilon square in place of this 1 by delta. Now we are getting this as delta square by 12. So what is that mean square value of noise voltage? We should be delta square by 12. Okay. And if you assume the load resistance value as R equal to 1 ohm, then the noise power is normalized. So what is the noise power formula? V square by R. So what is the value of R? It should be 1, right? So normalized power equals del square by 12 by 1. So which is the quantization noise power. Now you know the value of noise power. Then we have to obtain the expression for signal power. So how do you obtain that expression for signal power? See, need to obtain the expression for signal power now. Okay, see here. So how do you obtain this? By taking this derivation, that is signal to quantization noise ratio. It should be S by N equals, what is the formula? Signal power by noise power. So just now we have written, right, the noise power is del square by 12. And do you know, right, the relation between the number of binary digits V and quantization levels are related as by the formula Q equals 2 power V. So we are writing this equation as delta equal to 2 into X max by Q. So which is delta equal to 2 into X max by Q, which is 2 power V. So S by N ratio equals normalized signal power by, we are writing this as, what is that value delta? This one, right? So 2 into X max by 2 power V whole square by 12. Why? Because here what is the noise power? Del square by 12. What is the del value? 2 into X max by 2 power V. So that thing whole square by 12. Okay. Let's assume the normalized signal power will be denoted as P. That is, we are replacing this numerator with the power P. So P by expanding this 4 x square max by 2 power V into 1 by 12. So finally, what is that signal to quantization noise ratio of PCM, which is 3 into P by x max square into 2 power 2V into 2 power 2V. So what is that? The above expression says that the signal to noise power ratio of quantizer will increase exponentially whenever we are increasing the bits per sample. And suppose if you assume the input signal is normalized and its value should be maximum value 1, then signal to quantization noise ratio will be S by N equals 3 into 2 power 2V, this one 3 into 2 power 2V into P, because X max value should be 1. And if the destination signal power is also normalized, then we write as S by N less than or equals 3 into 2 power 2V. So expressing in decibels, we are representing signal to noise ratio in decibels. So what is that? S by N in dB equal to 10 log base 10 S by N in dB. That is 3 into 2 power 2V. Do you know, right, the formula log of AB, which is log A plus log B. So by substituting that expression, that is log 3 and 2V into log 2, we are getting the signal to noise ratio expression as 4.8 plus 6V decibels, which is the signal to quantization noise ratio. And how do you get the final expression for signal to noise ratio of PCM signal? See here, How do you get means? So first we have to define the expression for power signal, that is P equal to V square by R. V is nothing but the maximum voltage. So that is nothing but root mean square voltage. And here the maximum amplitude of the continuous signal we assume as AM. So we can get the maximum power of the signal P equal to AM square by 2. If we assume R value should be 1. Okay, then see here we know, right, S by n equals 3 into P by x max square into 2 power 2V. What is maximum amplitude of the signal? AM. So P equal to AM square by 2. So 3 into AM square by 2, AM square. So we are getting 1.5 into 2 power 2V. So expressing that S by n ratio in decibels, we are getting the final expression for signal to noise ratio of PCM wave is 1.8 plus 6V. Okay, why we are expressing in decibels means we need to solve a problems related to the signal to noise ratio. That's why we have derived the expression for signal to noise ratio of a PCM signal. Okay, now we'll see the problems related to the signal to noise ratio of a PCM wave. Okay, we'll see that signal to noise ratio of PCM wave. Let us see. We'll see some problems which will be helpful. We'll see the problems related to the pulse code modulation. Also, I said, right, what is the block diagram of regenerator? So we know, right, we are giving the PCM signal along with noise to the regeneration. So what is the block diagram of regenerative repeater means? It is having amplitude equalizer, timing circuit, and decision making device. So whenever the distorted PCM is given to the amplifier equalizer, it amplifies the amplitude of the signal. Then we are able to generate the errorless PCM wave. Okay, what is that? The equalizer shape the received pulses and compensate the effects of amplitude distortion produced by the channel. Then timing circuit provides a pulse train. Okay, then we are getting the error-free PCM signal. Okay, let's see the problems now. See the problem now. I said, right, the PCM signal will be looks like. So if it is a presence of pulse means 1, if it is 0 means simply to indicate with the absence of pulse. We said, right, we are taking the analog signal, the sampled signal, that is x of NTS, and quantized signal, that is pixel level amplitude signal, which is 423, and encoder we are getting the this data as the PCM output. Okay, see here what they are given. a television signal which is having a bandwidth of 4.2 megahertz, which is transmitted using binary PCM system, and given that the number of quantitation levels is 512. What we need to find, we have to determine the code word length and transmission bandwidth and final bitrate and output signal to quantization noise ratio. Okay, that's why I said about the signal to quantization noise ratio of PCM. So first write the given data. What is the given data? They have given the bandwidth as 4.2 megahertz. Okay, so and what they have given quantization levels. What is that quantization levels? Q equals 512, and they have given the bandwidth as 4.2 megahertz. And what we need to find? We need to find the first code word length. So first we need to find the code word length. So in order to find code word length, first you have to write the relation between quantization levels and number of binary digits V. So because we know the value of Q, so then we get the V. From that we can find the code word length. That's why first we are finding this. What is that? Q equals 2 power V. What is that quantization levels? Q equal to 512. Taking logarithmic on both sides, we are getting V as 9 bits. So what is that code word length? Simply, which is 9 bits. The code word length is 9 bits. Next, what we need to find? The transmission bandwidth. Just now I said, right, what is the transmission bandwidth of PCM? BT greater than or equals 1 by 2 into R, where R is signaling rate, which is V into Fs, right? So the transmission channel bandwidth of PCM is bandwidth greater than or equals V into FM or V into Fs. So FM అంటే ఏంటి ఇక్కడ? What they have given? FM is 4.2 megahertz. So bit length is 9 into 4.2. The bandwidth is 37.8 megahertz. That is the final bit rate, which is equal to the signaling rate. Because what they have find final bit rate? Bit rate is also called as signaling rate, right? So the signaling rate is given by, do you know, right, the formula for signaling rate, which is small r equal V into Fs. Okay, and what is Fs? Sampling frequency, which is Fs is greater than or equals 2 into Fm. That is Fs is greater than or equals 2 into 4.2 megahertz, so which is 8.4 megahertz, so that we can obtain the signaling rate as r equal to code word length. V is 9, Fs is 8.4 megahertz, so we can get the signaling rate as 75.6 into 10 power 6 bits per second. That is 75 megabits per second. Then we know, right, output signal to noise ratio. Just now we have seen output signal to noise ratio. What is that formula? S by n in dB, which is less than or equals 4.8 plus 6 into V, where V is nothing but code word length. So S by n dB, which equals 58.8 decibels. Okay, in this way you have to solve the problem. We'll see one more problem now. See one more problem. What is that? A PCM system uses a uniform quantizer followed by a 7-bit binary encoder, and the bit rate of PCM system is equal to 50 into 10 power 6 bits per second, 50 megabits per second. What is the maximum message signal bandwidth for which the system operate satisfactorily? We have to find the maximum message signal in which the system able to function properly, and we have to find out the output signal to noise ratio when a sinusoidal signal wave of frequency 1 megahertz is applied as the input. For that, see, we know, right, we need to find the maximum signal bandwidth. We know, right, Fs is greater than or equals 2 into Fm. and they have given the code word length as 7-bit binary codes, so which is V equal to 7, and we need to find the signal to noise quantization ratio, right? So that is S by N equals 1.8 plus 6V. We know the value of V, and they said we have to find the maximum message signal, nothing but the sampling frequency. So the signaling rate is R equal to V into Fs. We know, right? V means 7. Fs is nothing but 2 into Fm, right? So what is the value of R? They have given, see here, they have given the bit rate of the system is equal to 50 into 10 power 6. Nothing but it should be R. So 50 into 10 power 6 greater than or equals to Fm, so that we can obtain the this maximum message signal which function satisfactorily, which is Fm is 3.57 megahertz. Then signal to noise ratio, you know, right? S by N in dB equal to 1.8 plus 6V. Okay, we'll do one more problem. This one, a signal having a bandwidth which is equal to 3.5 kilohertz is sampled first, quantized and coded by a PCM system. Then the coded signal is transmitted over a transmitting channel of supporting a transmission rate of 50 kilobits per second. Then we have to find the signal to noise ratio that can be obtained by a system whose input signal has peak to peak value of 4 volts and RMS value of 0.2 volts. Remember, peak to peak value as 4 volts and root mean square value as 0.2 volts. See, they have given a signal having a bandwidth, nothing but the maximum frequency signal FM is 3.5 kilohertz. Then how to obtain sampling frequency? Fs greater than 2 into Fm, which is 7 kilohertz. Then we have to find the maximum signal to noise ratio. For that, first find the signaling rate. What is the signaling rate? R equals V into Fs. They have given that R value, the bit rate, transmission rate. So 50 into 10 power 3 V into, so Fs means this one. So we can find the code word length, which is 8 bits. And we know, right, to find the signal to noise ratio, whenever they have given root mean square value, what is that relation? S by N equals 3 into P into 2 power 2V by X max square. And they have given the root mean square value as P equal to V square by R. That is V RMS is 0.2, which is 0.04. Okay, let's substitute 3 into P is nothing but 0.04 into 2 power 2V. V is code word length 8 X max square, because they have given the input signal has peak to peak value of 4 volts. So that's why we are substituting this one. So what we are getting? 33 decibels. We are getting as 33 decibels. Okay, this is about the pulse code modulation, pulse code transmitter and its problems. Okay, now we are going to discuss about one more topic, which is DPCM. What is that? Differential pulse code modulation. What is that? Differential pulse code modulation. Okay, why? What is that differential pulse code modulation? We see now. Just wait for 1 second. It will. Differential pulse code modulation. It is shortly referred as DPCM. See, what is it by different differential pulse code modulation. So why we are going means to avoid redundancy in the pulse code modulation, we are going for differential pulse code modulation. See here in this diagram, see this diagram here. See what you have taken, redundant information in PCM. On x-axis we are taken the sampled signals which are discrete in time, continuous in amplitude, and y-axis we are taken the quantization levels. See if you observe here at the sample TS it is taking 010, at 2TS 100. If you observe here at samples 4TS, 5TS, 6TS 110, 110, that is it is transmitting the, it is at the 3 samples we are carrying the same information. 3 samples carrying the same information. If you remove any of these 2 samples, so we can avoid redundancy. Instead of sending the same data in 3 samples, if you remove those samples which carry the same information and we send only the required sample, we can able to reduce the redundancy and we can able to avoid the bandwidth. That's why we are going for a technique which is DPCM. See here, the samples of a signal are highly connected with each other because the present sample to the next sample, it will not differ by a large amount. The adjacent samples of a signal will carry the same information. When these samples are coded, it will contain redundant information. It will contain redundant information. If you look at this, the samples taken at 4TS are encoded to the same value. So information carried only by one sample. The 3 samples carry the same information. It is redundant. Okay. So to avoid the redundancy and reduce the bandwidth, we are going for a technique which is called as differential pulse code modulation. What is that? Differential pulse code modulation. Differential pulse code modulation. See, what is that principle of DPCM? If we avoid the redundancy, then overall bitrate will decrease and the number of bits required to transmit each sample will also be reduced. What is that? If the redundancy is reduced, then overall bitrate will decrease and number of bits required to transmit each sample will also be reduced. We can call this technique as differential pulse code modulation. What is that? Differential pulse code modulation. Now see the DPCM transmitter. What is that DPCM transmitter? It contains quantizer, prediction filter, encoder, and sampled signal. What is the prediction filter does? The prediction filter, we know, right? Simply it will predict the present sample value from the past sample and it will compare. If the error is positive, it should be increased by some step size. Error is negative, it should be decreased by some step size. See, first understand the operation. First we are giving x of t, the sampled signal. Then let's say the sample signal is 2.2. Then the prediction filter predicts the another sample, that is 2. It will compare these two values and we are going to produce the error. If the error signal is positive, it should be increased by plus delta. It is negative, it should be decreased by minus delta. Okay. In this way, we can able to get the differentially pulse code modulation. See the difference. That's why here first we are taking the sample input signal and we are taking the another input as prediction filter input. So we find the error signal as E of NTS equal to X of NTS minus X cap of NTS. Then we call it as error signal, which is applied to the quantizer. The quantizer output signal is EQ of NTS. Again, we are adding this quantizer error signal to the prediction filter. Then we are getting the DPCM output. See the mathematical analysis part. What is that? The DPCM, it is able to work on the principle of prediction. I said right before, the present sample is predicted from the past sample. The prediction may be exact, but it is very close to the actual sample. See, so what is the error signal? Difference between sampled signal and the unquantized signal, that is predicted signal. See, actual sample value x of NDS, predicted sample value x cap of NDS. Then the error is difference between unquantized input sample and the prediction of the it. Then it is applied to the quantizer, right? So what is that quantizer output? EQ of NDS equal to E of NDS plus Q of NDS. What is E of NDS? Just now we have defined, right? Which is x of NDS minus x cap of NDS plus Q of NDS. What is that Q of NDS? Nothing but quantization error. Then how do you define the prediction filter input XQ of NDS? See, what are the inputs going to the XQ of NDS here? So what it is coming here? EQ of NDS is coming and X cap of NDS is coming to act as input to the prediction filter. So how do you write XQ of NDS equal to X cap of NDS plus EQ of NDS, right? So I'm writing, so XQ of NDS equal to X cap of NDS plus EQ of NDS and X cap of NDS. And what is EQ of NDS? Which is E of NDS plus Q of NDS. So finally, so we know, right, the error expression E of NDS equal to difference between unquantized sample and prediction filter output. So E of NDS plus X cap of NDS equal to X of NDS. So final output, the quantized signal is X of NDS plus Q of NDS. So which is the DPCM? What is that? It works on the principle of prediction. It predicts the present sample value from the past sample value using the prediction filter, and the predicted sample value will be related to the as close as possible. See here, the present sample value is predicted from the past sample. The prediction may not be exact, but it is very close to the actual sample value. So why we are going for DPCM means to avoid redundancy in the PCM. That is, when two or more sample carry the same information, they should be more time consuming. So we are removing those redundant samples and perform transmission at a faster bit rate, and we are able to reducing the bandwidth. We are going for a differential pulse code modulation. Now see the DPCM receiver part. What is that? The DPCM receiver, see here. So we are giving the input as binary data, that is ones and zeros, to the decoder. Then the decoder compares this binary data along with the prediction filter output. Then we can able to retrieve the input message signal back. See what it does? The decoder reconstruct the quantized error signal from the incoming binary signal. Okay, the prediction filter output and quantized signal are added to give the quantized version of the original signal. Now we see a small problem related to the DPCM. Okay, we'll do one problem with respect to the DPCM. We'll do that. See here. So example of differential pulse code modulation. What is that? Consider the input samples. So that is, we said, right, we are taking the input signals as X of NDS or X of N. What are those samples? 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. And we need to explain how encoding and decoding is done in DPCM. We said, right, we are using the prediction filter. It can able to predict the value of present sample, and the prediction may not be exact, but it is very close to the sample value, right? And assume they have given the prediction filter is X cap of N equal to XQ of N minus 1. Because it is the past sample, that's why delayed by one sample. X cap of N is prediction filter output. X cap of N is XQ of n minus 1. So see this. First we have to write the input samples. X of n is what is they have given 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. They have given, right? Initially there is no data, so that's why prediction filter input is 0. Then after that, what it will does? What is that x cap of n? Xq of n minus 1. So initially no samples, 0. And how do you find error signal? We know, right? The difference between quantized signal and the prediction filter output. So the difference between the sample signal 2.1 and prediction filter output 0, which is 2.1. The quantized output means fixed level amplitude, which is 2. And what is that quantized signal? Xq of n equals prediction filter output along with the quantization error. So which is 0 plus 2. So again 2 comes here. Why? Because the prediction filter predict the present sample value. This one present sample value is 2.2 from the past sample. What is the past sample here? 2, right? Because of that quantization. So now what is the error signal? 2.2 minus 2, which should be 0.2, which is 0. So once again here, what is x cap of n, which is 2, and error value should be 0, 2. In this way, the process repeats. Then we are getting the prediction output as. So what is the predictor output? X cap of n reference predictor output, EQ of n is reference the quantizer output. Then what is the transmitted data sequence? What we are transmitting to the transmitter part? We are transmitting the data as 2, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. This is the data we are transmitting. Okay. Now see the receiver part, DPCM decoding part. Because we are transmitting the data as this one, right? So it will act as the input to the DPCM data, that is DPCM receiver part. So EQ of n equal to 2, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. And what is the prediction filter output? X cap of n equal to xq of n minus 1. And do you know, right? The quantized signals xq of n is, that is fixed level amplitudes x of n plus eq of n initially, which is 0. Then what is xq of n? X cap of n plus eq of n, that is 2. So now it is the present sample value reached to the receiver. Then what is that here? Next sample 0. So it will predict, right? The predictor predicts the present sample from the past sample. So it should be 2. So it is 0 plus 2, 2. So like this, it should be, process should be continued. Then we are receiving the signal as, what is that received signal? 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. Okay. The data we are receiving is 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. So now the transmitted signal is this one. So what is the difference between here and here? There should be the quantization error. 2.1 minus 2, 0.1, and 3 minus 2.8, which is 0.2. In this way, we can able to perform differential pulse code modulation. Okay. In this way, we can able to perform the data which is in DPCM, that is differential pulse code modulation. Okay. So which is about the differential pulse code modulation. Okay. So go through the all these recordings. So in this class I have seen, I have discussed what is it by pulse code modulation, what is the pulse code modulation transmitter part, pulse code modulation receiver part, then what is the expression for signal to noise ratio of pulse code modulation, and what are the problems related with the pulse code modulation. First we have to find the code word length, then you have to find the signaling rate, then we have to find the signal to noise ratio. Okay, I have seen that. After that I have discussed the differential pulse code modulation, why we are going for differential pulse code modulation means to avoid redundancy which is there in PCM, and because many samples carry the same information, so we can remove those samples and send the required number of samples so that we can able to reduce the bit rate and we can able to reduce the bandwidth. That's why we are going for a DPCM, and DPCM works on the principle of prediction. That is, the prediction filter predict the present value based on the past value, but the prediction is not exact, but it is very close to the present sample value. Okay, these are the topics we have seen. In the next class, we'll see the few more topics. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anandal. In the another class, we'll see the some more topics. Okay. In the next class, we'll see the topics like what is in by matched filter, what is the use of matched filter, and what do you mean by intersymbol interference. Because of the intersymbol interference, what is the main problem we are going to affect you, and what are the different digital pulse modulation techniques will be available, like PSK, that is phase shift keying, and binary phase shift keying. Okay, we'll see those topics. What is in by matched filter? What is in by intersymbol interference? What are the digital modulation techniques will be available? Okay, we'll discuss that topics. Okay, thank you.